I cannot believe this. Mr. Beast, the biggest creator on YouTube in the history of YouTube, just put out a video this morning and said this.
This is the most expensive coffee in the world. Do you want to know why it's so expensive?
Yes.
They have these 20 elephants in Thailand digest the beans and they grab it out of their poop.
So this is poop coffee.
Well, it just so happens that me and my family are in the middle of traveling to all 48 states in 48 days and hiding a bag of the best coffee in the world, one of the most expensive coffees in the world, and one of the rarest coffees in the world in each state. Today is day 18. We've been to 22 states so far. And the funny thing is, we both can't have the rarest, the most expensive, and the best coffee in the world. One of us is telling the truth, and the other's being a little dishonest. Now in this video, I want to make my case that Average Joe is truly the best, the rarest, and it's not the most expensive, but it's up there. But first things first, I need to crawl underneath this truck because I have an oil leak going on right now. Oh, it was just this oil filter. Good thing that we're due for an oil change because we can just get this taken care of. But the first claim of the video is that this elephant eaten and pooped out coffee by Black Ivory is the most expensive coffee in the world, which just simply is not true. At the Best of Panama auction, the auction that we bought this coffee at, one coffee in that auction sold for over $10,000 a kilo. And that's the price for that coffee, green and unroasted, which is a huge price difference. Some really easy math is the difference between green coffee and roasted coffee is about 5 times. And that's because you still have to export it, ship it, import it, pay for insurance, you have to roast it. And when you roast coffee, you lose about 15% of the weight. So if it's $10,000 a kilo green, that means it's about $50,000 a kilo roasted. And again, I know that all this just sounds so ridiculous, but the good thing about all this is the farm genuinely deserves it because this coffee sold at an auction. That's what real coffee shops, coffee roasters were willing to pay for it because it's that good. Now the Panamanian farm, this coffee is worth $50,000 a kilo for it roasted. They worked so hard to get to that point. They got there through dedication to really good genetics for the coffee, really good growing practices, and getting better and better every single year. And they deserve to own that title of having the most expensive coffee in the world, not some $2,500 coffee that was force-fed to an elephant and then someone had to go through their poop and pick it out. Now this elephant coffee company in this video, Black Ivory, they're really relying on these buzzwords like rarest and most expensive to legitimize that what they have is actually special. And that's where I kind of feel like the scam of this whole thing kind of comes in. Because you can already see it's not the most expensive as they market themselves, but it's also not the rarest either. The Best of Panama auction, the auction that we bought this coffee at, is considered the best auction in the world with the best coffees in the world. And that's for a good reason. And I'll explain that a little bit later on. But each of the lots that go up for sale in that auction are 55 pounds. 55 pounds of green coffee. That's all that exists, that's all that will ever exist. And once those 55 pounds of coffee are gone, they're gone forever. Now Black Ivory, the elephant coffee, under where it says that they have the rarest coffee in the world, it says in 2023 that they produced 495 pounds of coffee, which is about 10 times the amount as these coffees that are grown by super small farms in Panama. And then I think the biggest difference is how these coffees got to have the titles of rarest and most expensive. You see, with Black Ivory, the cost really isn't legitimized by anything. It's $2,500 a kilo because they simply say it is. It'd be no different than me opening up an online store, putting this bottle of water for sale up there, setting the price for $2,500 and saying, this is the best and rarest bottle of water in the whole world. It's just not really backed by anything other than me.
There you are, boss.
Thanks, my man.
Yeah, have a good day.
Thank you.
I'll check out your YouTube.
Do it, man. Now with this coffee and all the coffees that were at the Best of Panama auction, they all go through insane evaluation. The Specialty Coffee Association of Panama brings in the best coffee evaluators in the whole world. These are people with Q-grader licenses, which is basically the equivalent of being a sommelier in wine. And then all the coffee farms, they submit what they think is their best harvest of the whole year. They submit their best 55 pounds and put it up for evaluation in front of these judges to basically rip their coffee apart. And of all the coffees submitted, we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of different coffees from different farms. Only a handful then go up for auction. And it's a lot of these coffee farmers' dreams to get their coffees to go up to auction, because it'll change their whole lives. And that's not just the coffee farm saying it, that's real coffee evaluators. It's them saying in a blind tasting that yes, this is one of the rarest coffees in the whole world. This is something special. This is something that should be celebrated. And the coffee farmer, you should be able to have that title and have a pat on your back and be able to embrace the fact that all those years and decades and sometimes even generations of hard work, it's all paying off. So clearly you guys can tell that coffee farmers, they have a special place in my heart. And that's why I feel like we'll go to bat for them every day out of the week. And now that we're leaving Boise and starting to drive towards Oregon, to our 23rd state, I guess this is the part that I've been concerned about talking about the most, because I feel like this is where it's gonna start feeling a little harsh. And what I can't word it any other way other than as the scam, as this whole elephant coffee, black ivory coffee that I see. To me, once you start spending upwards of $20, $30, $40 a pound for your coffee, that's when you have to start getting traceability. You have to know what farm it's coming from. You have to know what variety of coffee it is. And with the black ivory elephant coffee, you get none of that. So when you're force feeding coffee to elephants by taking coffee fruit and mixing it in with their food, and then waiting for them to poop it out, and then having someone go through all that poop and take all the coffee out. And everything you see on their website is about how what they're doing is actually to try to save the elephants and to try to help elephants. I'm not gonna say I don't trust them, but I think this is part of the issue with coffee when you're not being 100% truthful all the time. Because if you're gonna use words like the most rare, the luxurious, the most expensive, and it's not, then what else are you not telling the truth about? That's what goes through my mind anyway. And the whole reason for feeding the coffee to elephants doesn't really even make that much sense. What they're trying to achieve by putting in their stomach is a fermentation process. You can achieve a fermentation process with coffee without force feeding it to elephants. And you can get a much better result as well because you have a lot more control. I know this because I've done it. We've fermented our own coffee on our farm with coffee that we purchased from a nearby farm. And we did the whole process. And what that fermentation does is it breaks down the fruit and breaks down those sugars and makes them more easily absorbable into the coffee bean. And it makes it super fruity and punchy and really, really delicious. To me, this whole elephant coffee poop thing is really a gimmick. It's very easily shareable. It has a wow factor. It's easy for it to go viral. And you can see that this company, Black Ivory, has tried to get this story in every news outlet that they possibly can. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you're eating coffee that was at one point in poop. And that's something that will catch people's eye, and I get that. And I also get why Mr. Beast, the biggest YouTuber on this platform, why he would also want to do that, because there's just something that, I guess I'm not going to say it's sexy, but it just has that element of, it just has that wow factor to it. And maybe people on the internet want to see people drink poopy coffee, and that's just what it is.
All right, we just pulled over on the side of the road. I'm actually going to be running in to this little cafe to see if some fellow coffee nerds are interested in letting us hide the coffee for Idaho in their cafe. So fingers crossed they're a little cooperative. Thank you so much.
Of course, and I'll get those right out.
Awesome, thank you. So I have kind of a weird question. We bought this really, really expensive rare coffee from this auction in Panama, and we're hiding a bag of it in each state. And I was curious if you would be open. We hid one of the coffee bags here somehow, or even in like this chest maybe? You want to do that? Yeah. Would that work?
Just like set it in there.
Yeah, or maybe I can just like kind of tuck it in behind. I don't think anyone will see that, will they?
No.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a good one. That was very successful, and I'm absolutely in love with their slogan, damn good coffee. All right, so we are at the Caffeina Coffee Roasting Company in Boise, Idaho. I'm not gonna tell you which one. There's a couple locations here, so you guys are just gonna have to go figure that one out. And it's hidden in a chest of plants. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
This is probably the most dedicated video that I've ever made to coffee. And as someone that works in the coffee industry and has a coffee business, I was excited to make a video talking about the importance of celebrating people, celebrating farmers who are committed to the craft, who are committed to improving year after year, getting better and better and better, until one day their coffee is worth hundreds or maybe even thousands of dollars a pound, and they get paid for the work that they put in. And also shed some lights on the parts of this industry that's more about something more gimmicky, something more inauthentic, and something more that's about dollars and titles and marketing strategies over quality and transparency and honesty. I don't think you need to drink coffee that's eaten by an elephant, fermented in their stomach, and excreted out, and then picked through, and then roasted for you to drink. I don't think you need to do that to drink great coffee. I think it's much easier than that. And I think it's much more enjoyable than that. And if you guys want to try coffee from a really great farm that's really dedicated to the craft, we recently relaunched a coffee that was one of our most popular this year called Honey Harvest. We restocked it from an amazing farm in Costa Rica called Las Lajas, an amazing family farm that is truly dedicated to the craft. So if you want to try the best dark roast that I've ever tried in my life and support a really great farm, I'll put the link to this coffee in the top of the description. Thanks for hanging in with me, learning about coffee, and allowing me to express something to you guys that is really important to me. But that's all I got for this one. I'll see you guys tomorrow.